Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 9 of the unofficial Rogue Company podcast, BROGUECAST. I'm here with Cole Reed.
I'm here with Dirt Lord.
I'm here with Garbo.
And I'm here with Griffin.
And today we're talking about all the latest Rogue Company news you need to know, and possibly something very special in the community section. So be on the lookout for that later in the episode. But right now, let's talk about the canon update. Wow. I mean,
that's an understatement, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I was at work, of course, when all this, because they do their updates early in the morning, which is fine. Like, that's good. It's good that they do them early in the morning so that they can monitor the situation. But they had a lot of shit to monitor on this update.
They sure did.
Yeah. Like, they scheduled the downtime for the update. It was like, what, an hour and a half, something like that, an hour and a half. Then they ended up having to extend it like another hour, and then they had to keep extending it. Then they finally was like, all right, the update's done. We're putting the servers back online. And then they're like, wait a minute, we got to take the servers offline because something is happening.
What, 12 minutes later or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, like legitimately, like less than 20 minutes, probably less than 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then they worked on it some more, and then they put them live again, but limited the logins for everybody. And then finally got everything in a somewhat stable condition. I guess you could call it that, right? I don't know what you call it, but I didn't play that night. You know, they always do the update on Tuesday, and Tuesday we have prior commitments. Go listen to Real Estate Podcast, but I wasn't able to play it. Did anybody else play it while after the update went live?
I don't play unless it's with you guys.
So I guess the first experience that we had with the update was probably Wednesday night, the day after the update. And normally that's kind of a good idea anyway. Like, I'm glad that they do the updates on Tuesday whenever I'm not able to play the game, because like, if I got off work and I was excited about playing this new Rogue and all this kind of stuff, and I came home and like either the logins were limited and I couldn't get into the game, or it was still down, or it was just constantly crashing, I would not be a happy camper whatsoever.
Yeah, man. People on Twitter were pissed. I mean, upset. They were upset.
Yeah. They were not happy whatsoever, right?
Displeased.
Watch that tone, bro.
Yeah. But they finally got it released in a stable condition. I think 2 days later on Thursday, they released the hotfix to try to address a couple of the issues that are still in the game. And they fixed some of the issues from what I understand, but there's like, okay, they disabled the tier again. Like, I didn't put
third or fourth time, right?
Yeah, I didn't put that in the talk as a talking point for the episode, but I just wanted to go ahead and mention it. They disabled the tier again, and I think
this is when they put it back in.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. They released the tier with the canon update, and then what? 2 or 3 days later, they disabled it again.
Yeah,
because of I think crashing issues.
Yeah, they were thinking that it was
causing. What's been happening every time.
Yeah, exactly. I have a theory though of why the tier is doing this. They haven't messed with any gun as much as they've messed with the tier. And I think
sure.
Yeah. And I think that they went in and some of the code is actually corrupt.
They changed it from a 2-shot to a 1-shot back to a 2-shot, and they've messed with the damage and the fire rate over and over again.
Yeah. That's been the most tinkered with gun out of all the Rogue Company guns so far.
I feel like it's one of the least used ones too, even when it was in the game, because you don't see that many fixers sniping and demolition anymore.
No, I mean it's far and few between for sure, and
you don't really see them anymore at all.
Well, usually when I see them, it's a DMR.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Which is good because that's a 2-tap headshot, and if you can get them in the smoke, you've got them.
Yeah, all day, right?
Yep, all day.
Yeah,
and I've been screwed by a couple of fixers with that DMR as well.
Yeah. So, and I feel bad for the people that have the ability to grind out the weapon mastery, but since the weapon mastery is released, I don't think the tier's been in there a full week. So
I'm sure a few people completed it because they just grinded it out while it was in there, but not many.
Yeah. So, and then you've currently only got one sniper rifle available, which is fine. Like the long body's a fine sniper rifle, and I enjoy that sniper rifle and using it. But like in a recent Rogue Company interview, you know, they were talking about the challenges with creating new weapons like the sniper rifle because there's only so many ways that you can skin a cat, right? A sniper rifle has to do two things. It has to zoom in and it has to one shot down someone if they get a headshot in Rogue Company. So how do they make unique weapons with the sniper rifle formula? But I'm sitting here thinking like, why are you worried about that? You need to fix the one of the two sniper rifles that you currently have. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they never messed with it at all. They never would have had to fill with it ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just never messed with it. It never would have got kicked out of the game, you know, or crashed the game. 3 updates in a row, going on a 4th update.
So, but anyway, I didn't put that as a talking point, but I wanted to go ahead and mention that the Tyr has been disabled again because they think that it is linked to some of the console crashes. But with that being said, let's talk about our boy Cannon.
Choo-choo!
I know, right? So
Coltrane.
yeah, we've all played Cannon a little bit, and one of the most limiting factors of playing Cannon since he was released in the game is the fact that like it happened last night specifically. If I play with Cannon, I know that there's a possibility that someone on the team is going to have an audio bug with that.
Yep, almost every time Cannon spins his crap up, it messes with my audio. And there was one game.
Anything.
There was one game last night where you spun up in the first round, and it was consistent through the game.
Yeah, so that's not good at all.
No, I can't hear footsteps. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were hearing it in the plane.
Yeah.
So they're working on trying to, of course, fix the bug that causes that, but that gives you a certain limitation because it's like, then you have to really sit down and think. It's like, okay, we all need to play and experience the Rogue so that we can talk about them, you know, based off of our experiences. But if it's going to like possibly limit 2 of the people that you're playing with, then is it really going to be worth trying them out in a game where you could easily be steamrolled because you're at a disadvantage like that?
Yeah.
Right.
And all in all, my first impressions of Cannon, I think that the Sahara and the Striker 810 was a great weapon combo to give him right out of the gate.
Yeah.
I think that the C4 made sense. I think that the adrenaline shot makes less sense for him because he has life drain and headstrong.
Yeah.
I understand that they're wanting him to be more of a tanky character, but Anvil has life drain and he has headstrong, and he also has a shield, which Cannon's ability has some shielding capabilities, but they gave him they gave Anvil the APS and they gave Cannon adrenaline shot. I think that he would have been better if he would have had the tear gas, in my opinion. And I know that the tear gas is one of those gadgets that is not really a go-to specifically for me, but I think that if you couple the tear gas with his ability to where they can't land shots, now maybe that would be too OP, but I think that would make more sense, in my opinion, than giving him the adrenaline shot.
See, I thought an EMP would work really well in place of that.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And because he would be able to shut down some stuff that could stop him from revving up.
Yeah.
And then just rev up and just start laying. Because I think that his ability is really solid, especially if you can get them grouped up in a corner. Because you can just rip through them, dude. And him paired with someone like Switchblade or Dima where you can cut off and escape.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. I honestly like that idea better than the tear gas because that you were 100%. Because like most of the time, whenever my experience playing with Cannon, as soon as I rev it up, then here comes the Dema blast, the Switchblade blast. Here comes the incendiary grenades. Here comes the C4. Like every piece of utility that team has is going to target you specifically.
And if there's a glitch, he's going to try to hack you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You can shut his hack down with an EMP, which is the best part of it.
Yeah. So you hack the hacker.
Yeah.
Ooh.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
As far as his passive ability, Conflict Connoisseur, I love the idea of the refunding ammo after, landing shots, but it is so inconsistent in my experience that it really, it's a coin flip. There's no there's no stat, there's no percentage, there's nothing. You may get ammo back and you may not. And whenever I did my video earlier today about my first impressions of Canon, it was like, if you go into a gunfight situation with the Sahara, we're going to use that as an example, and you know that after every 3 shots, you're going to get 1 bullet back, and you know that the weapon does 24 base body damage at, medium to close range, and then it has a really good headshot damage. So you need a total of 5 bullets to down someone. You got 4 bullets behind cover, and after that 3rd shot, you're going to get refunded 1. And they're pushing you and you don't have the opportunity to reload. That's the difference between winning and losing a match.
Yeah.
And you're taking a chance on your passive ability maybe working because we don't have the numbers. Yeah. And that's why it is so important in these games that they actually put the numbers, percentages inside of these update notes so that we actually know what we can expect when we're playing these characters.
How it works.
The program is just rolling a fucking D20 for every bullet that hits them.
Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes, if I was using the Striker or even the Sahara, you'd take 10 shots and no ammo was refunded, and then the next 5 shots, every single shot would refund you 1 ammunition, and it's like, this makes no sense. There's no rhyme or reason to it whatsoever.
Yeah, just give a little consistency to it so you can really kind of play more tactical.
Yeah, exactly.
Tactical shooter.
And I don't
every
think
3rd or 4th shot.
Yeah, and I don't think that that's too much to ask for.
Not at all, man.
So
keep it simple. I mean, maybe they just didn't want people to get used to it, having a different inconsistency. So it's not consistent. So that way they can't build a, Corey just said, tactical advantage towards it.
Well, that's kind of the whole point of the game, though, with a tactical shooter is to be able to play tactically.
Yeah.
So you should be able to plan your moves out so you know what you're doing.
Instead of just running and gunning and hoping for the best.
It's it's like a game of chess. The only difference is that the other pieces are moving while you're moving as well.
Yeah. And some of them have RPGs.
Or swords.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
God.
Overall, what do you guys think of y'all's first impressions of Canon?
I think he's a really solid character so far.
He reminds me of a Rambo Steve Harvey.
Yeah. He's a big Steve Harvey.
I mean, he really is.
He reminds me of every buff 80s dude with a Jerry curl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hush now.
Yeah.
What was the dude from? I can't think of it. But yeah, that was funny when he picks you up and says, "Hush now."
Revive, yeah.
He's so soft spoken, hush now.
It makes you feel safe. You're like, you
Put you
do
in my pocket.
Yeah. I do like his personality, in comparison to the rest of the rogues, because
and they kind of show it.
Yeah. Because everybody's either very straightforward. Or, they're like, you're lucky that I'm on your team.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
All right, Talon, calm down.
Calm down, Talon.
Lucky I'm even playing with y'all.
Yeah.
This dude during the walk up before is skipping. He's happy.
Yeah, he's just happy to be there, man. And that really shows through playing his little voice quips and all that kind of stuff when stuff's going on. It's great. It's a good contrast because I understand that they're trying to make all the rogues very serious and take everything very seriously, but it's amazing how even when I'm playing Canon and things are just going completely downhill, my attitude is a lot better because the attitude of the character is either making me laugh or it's, you know what I mean? It's just,
it does help a lot.
Yeah, it really does. And I think that they should incorporate some of that stuff in with their skins because, if they're going to continue to release new skins, release some goofy ass skins with some crazy funny voice lines so that maybe I can play, Mac and not want to strangle my dog,
Like they did with the Dallas with the metal.
Yeah.
Rocker, pack.
I mean, even you got Doc's skin, so you have a whole new voice lines for him and stuff. It's possible to do.
Oh yeah. Before we move on from canon, I want to mention this, and I talked about this. Like I said, there's a video that's already been up and I was thinking about this while I was mowing the yard too. So, the reception for Runway was overwhelmingly positive by the community.
Yeah,
and the reception for canon has been positive but quiet, I guess is the best way to explain it. And
well, he wasn't the most anticipated rogue of all time.
Well, you're right on that. But I think that there's another crucial factor that goes into that. And I think that the reason why that she was so anticipated is because her ability is so brain dead straightforward. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I mean that her ability is so brain dead that anybody can pick that character and they can utilize her ability 100% in the positive, unless you like stick yourself or do something stupid. And I think
I've seen.
Yes, yeah, right. And I think that with a character like Canon being released, it takes a lot more timing, planning, and strategy on when to actually use his ability and when for it to be effective, that a lot of people are automatically going to gravitate towards that brain dead play style like Lancer, right? Because you trigger the ability, it does everything for you. You move faster and you don't make any noise. You don't have to think about it. But whenever you're playing someone like Switchblade or Dima or Cannon or Glitch or a lot of these other characters, it's like it's very important when to actually use your ability and having the awareness and the like mental capacity to actually be able to use that and pull it off effectively. And that's disregard the actual hitboxes of all that stuff and how it screws everything up when you use it. But you have to actually put some thought into it. And I think that that's why you're going to we'll probably see more rogues come out that are going to follow that Runway, Dallas, Lancer trend to where it's, you trigger the ability, it does what it's supposed to do, and then it's going to go away. As opposed to trigger the ability, you have to time everything out perfectly. You have to make sure that you're not screwing this up for your team, and then hope for the best.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to run through some of these changes, and we can kind of comment on them real quick from the canon update. So the Switchblade lockout, I haven't played Switchblade since the update, but I know that a couple of you guys have. They increased the lockout timer after you use the Chaos Launcher. How's it feeling?
It's the same, really.
It's not much. Yeah, it's not very noticeable.
I was about to say, I honestly haven't played her since.
It was
I've
just
only played her a couple of times, but it's not enough to matter.
Yeah,
right.
It didn't ruin it.
I haven't seen the Lancer quote unquote nerf where she is able to be revealed while she's using her ability. I have played Lancer and I haven't really noticed it. So
no,
I don't know. I've got to tinker with that more. Glitch though,
I love it.
Yeah, his ability change is one of the biggest things that they've done to the game in a very long time. Of course, other than releasing like new characters and things like that. And I think that it's one of the best things that they've done in the update.
Dude, to be able to cut off rogues that are using their ability like Scorch and Cannon in the middle of the ability is so helpful. Like it really is one of the best changes they've made to a rogue since the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
Like outside of maybe like Trench's barbed wire doing some shit, because that probably is still the best change they've done to a rogue.
Yeah, I'm very happy that Glitch finally got some love, and he was always a viable character, but now he's even more of a viable character, and you can actually see it and feel the impact of it in a match, and it feels so good.
He's quickly rose to my top rogue.
Yeah,
his weapon choices and everything, man, it's just solid.
Speaking of weapons, the weapon changes, we've only got a couple here. The MLX Maul, so they increase the ADS accuracy, and I could feel it when I played with Anvil. Like it feels like it's a little bit less bouncy, a little bit more consistent, and it feels great.
It was feeling like an SMG in close-up fights when I was using it.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous, right?
It's really good, dude.
Yeah. The HRM 30KS, I used it with Trench in a couple of matches, and I never noticed how bouncy that gun really was. Like, I've always noticed how inconsistent it was, but I've never noticed how bouncy it was at range until this update happened. because now I feel very confident going into firefights, and I honestly wish that Dallas still had this weapon. That's all personal opinion, of course. I think that the Riptide's fine, but I think that the HRM 30KS, the way it's performing now, was exactly the way that it should have been performing all along, and I think that it fits Dallas's play style more than the Riptide does. The KA30, of course, they increased the accuracy loss per shot, and I could kind of feel that, but it's not a lot, so it's still beaming. People are still prioritizing that weapon in a huge way.
Yeah.
Still felt pretty much the same when I ran him with that gun.
Yeah. The full body, so they actually brought to the live game the FOV for the scope, and I love it.
Yeah, you were hitting some shots with that thing.
Yeah, you were, dude.
I don't think it's any different.
It might feel different for console. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it yet, so I don't know.
Right. So, well, and that's a good thing, though, Justin, to be honest with you, because, like, I mean, a lot of people are online talking about how they can, it's thrown their sniping game off because it's so jarring and all this kind of stuff. And to me, it just feels way better because I'm more aware of what's going on. And also, like they said, the maps aren't really big enough to even justify having a sniper on most of them, much less a sniper that zooms in to like 80% of the screen is gone.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Justin said at one point it felt like an ACOG scope, and this is a game that has sized maps that make more sense for an ACOG type scope. That you shouldn't go over more like a 4x zoom at the most.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I said, it didn't affect me any because I did the same things I always do, which is I don't try to stay in the scope. I try to look down it, hit my shot, and then be back out so I'm full screen.
So I'm going to skip over the MXR change because I honestly don't know if that's in the game or not. I think it might be a typo, and we'll talk about that in the next topic. The EMP grenade, I've seen a lot more people prioritizing that over lethal gadgets for the rogues that actually have access to the EMP grenade. And I think that it makes sense that they applied the same effect that Glitch had to the EMP grenade. Incendiary grenade, so they completely kind of reworked the incendiary grenade, and I kind of forgot that this change was happening in the game until you get hit with it, and then you're like, holy shit, I'm on fire.
Yeah, I'm about to die.
Yeah. You have to make a very immediate response to being hit with incendiary grenades now. And then bug fixes, so they fixed a couple of bugs in here with like some of the sprays are not overlapping correctly, or the borders are overlapping. Fix an issue where the Tyr scope line would change to white when other rogues activated an ability. Well, it's not even in the game, so that really doesn't matter. They did fix a couple of things here and there, but nothing really major on the bug fix side. It's a lot of, I guess you would call it quality of life bug fixes more so than actual bug fixes. But all in all, I think that if the canon update would have went off perfectly, kind of like the season 3 update more or less did,
Yeah.
I think that, you know, of course the update being so screwed up and the issues that they were having with it is kind of what held it back, and it kind of turned a lot of people off from actually playing the game for a couple of days because of these issues. And it sucks that it's that way, but unfortunately that's the world that we live in whenever it comes to Rogue Company updates. So it'll be what it'll be. I mean, we'll keep playing the game and hopefully it won't crash out or, you know, something catastrophic will happen while we're in game. All right. Y'all want to check out This Week in Rogue Company?
Let's go.
So on the last This Week in Rogue Company, which actually came out last month, but we're just now getting around to it because of the upload schedule. They talked about a couple of weapon changes and some gadget changes that are coming up. So I guess one of the biggest weapon changes, in my opinion, is the MXR. They're reducing the amount of bloom per shot, and they're also reducing the horizontal recoil. Now, like I said, they added this to the canon updates, but they specifically said that this wasn't going to be going into the game until the update after canon was released. I don't think the hotfix counts as that update, right? So this stuff hasn't made it into the game yet. I don't know why it's on the patch notes for the canon release, but so the MXR changes I'm very happy with. And the main reason why is because the MXR is just not competing with the rest of the DMRs, specifically the Mamba. It's just not competing with it at all. I think that this is a step in the right direction for the MXR, but it also gets us into that TTK, you know, snowball effect to where, the damage numbers are fine. Yeah. But they're, making it pinpoint accurate, which it's a DMR. It should be pinpoint accurate to a fault. And this is overall going to affect the TTK of the weapon, whether they want to admit that or not. Right.
Yep.
So we've got that to look forward to in an upcoming update. And then also the arbitrator is buffing the base and upgraded fire rates for the weapon. We got destroyed by an arbitrator the other night.
Yeah.
It was
Destroyed.
Destroyed.
It was so bad that we went into a private match and did some testing for this weapon, because not a lot of people run it. And I understand that not a lot of people running it because it's not really, compared to the rest of the shotguns, it's really not viable. You get 2 shots, you have to reload. It's something that does take time to reload, even though it does reload fairly quickly. I know that buffing the base and upgraded fire rates are going to put it in a better position, but is it still going to be able to outclass the rest of the shotguns? I don't really think it's going to be up to snuff with them, in my opinion. That's
Not
just
with
me.
the rest of them, no.
I just feel like the arbitrator at this point, and I know that it's, the lead developer, one of his favorite weapons in the game. I get that. It needs to be reworked. It's just not viable, especially in a competitive environment. It's not worth using.
That's the only person I've ever seen do work with it.
Yeah, I know. For the gadget changes, so the C4 level 2 upgrade increases damage from 150 to 175 to negate the effects of tenacity. So I looked at the actual upgrade path for the C4 in the game, and originally the increased damage was a level 3 upgrade. So I don't know if they're actually swapping the levels around for the C4 or if this was just, something that was mistaken during the update. The This Week in Rogue Company. But I wanted to throw that in there because if they do start changing with the upgrade tiers on it, then that might be a problem.
Well, they're fixing it like if you have tenacity, it'll still fuck you up.
It'll still down you. Yeah.
Well, what's the point of having tenacity then?
Yeah, legit.
I mean,
I think that the idea,
not a cheap bird.
Yeah, and I think the idea behind this is like none of the gadgets or none of the explosive gadgets or any of the abilities can take anybody down with tenacity in one explosion unless you're using the bounce grenade with Seeker. I think that's the only way that you can down someone that has tenacity, especially if they have headstrong. And I think that they're trying to make one explosive gadget in the game have the effect of negating tenacity as a counterplay measure.
Okay.
That's
I
how
get that.
Yeah, that's kind of how I took it. C4 is a gadget that it's like, I think the second most popular gadget among the rogues other than the frag grenade.
It's a risk reward one too.
Exactly.
Because you got to get a little closer to be able to toss it at them.
Yeah. The frag grenade, the explosion radius increase for higher minimum damage at the edges of the explosion radius. So that they said that they were expanding it by 10 to make it a little bit bigger, but also the damage fall off is basically going to be less than what it currently is. That's kind of how I took that. And I think that that's okay. I mean, the frag grenades is kind of the most inconsistent grenade in the game, in my opinion, because sometimes you'll throw a grenade right on somebody and, even if you don't hold it to delay the fuse or to bring the fuse down on it or whatever, they may be close enough to it where you're like, how did that not damage them more? And then sometimes you'll throw it and they're like, how did you down that person with that grenade? Because you completely overthrew it. You know what I mean? And then the Simtex, the level 2 upgrade will increase the non-stuck damage from 100 to 125, which makes sense because I think that this was a realization with the release of Runway and the ability to carry one Simtech and then refresh it to 2 additional Simtechs after you hit the briefcase. Most people, myself very much included, is not trying to go for a stick when they throw a Simtex. I don't try to go for sticks with it. If I get lucky and get a stick on it, then that's great. I try to use it as a tool to drive people out of cover because you can angle it in the right way to where it'll land right on the other side of the cover on the edges of it, and it will cause someone to move out. And it's not doing a lot of damage.
No.
Based off of the explosion radius. So to me, honestly, I would have rather them increase the explosion radius of the Simtex itself at base but they're actually increasing the damage from 100 to 125. So I guess that in turn, that means that there's going to be less fall off damage, but still though, like we would have to look at the numbers for that, which we don't have. But in theory, the fall off damage should be less whenever you're doing more damage at base. But I'm excited for this stuff to actually be introduced into the game. I'm very excited about the MXR changes, and I'm interested to see how these gadget changes are going to go, because several updates ago, they went in and nerfed all the lethal gadgets and said that they wanted the game to be focused more so on gunplay than actual utility play. And then now they're reneging on it and increasing a lot of the things with the gadgets themselves to promote more gadget play. It's just like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, but you know, I'm not
pick a lane.
I'm not going to raise my tone. So,
right.
Speaking of DMR changes with the MXR, Kremar showed us something on Twitter. I think this was actually saw first by Radthar, but I'm not 100% sure. I know that I saw
think
it.
he saw that.
Yeah, I saw it first from Radthar posting it, and
he's giving him credit for it here.
Oh yeah, I see that now. Okay, so Radthar actually saw this in game. As you can see here, there is possibly a new DMR coming into the game called the Bishop, and this is the statistics for the Bishop itself. And I know that this is a work in progress weapon. I understand that, but I did a comparison of the Bishop between the MXR, the Aaron, the Mamba, and the D3DI. And if you look at all their base stats all across the board, this is the worst weapon by far. It's worse than the Aaron. It's worse than the MXR. Like, it's basically take all of the DMRs and then drop everything down a couple of points, and you get the Bishop. And the only way that this is going to be appealing, in my opinion, to players is if it does something unique. So whenever you look at the damage that the Mamba does at base, it does 16 damage at base. Either 16 or 17, but it's also a 3-round burst. So it's 16 times 3 or 17 times 3. This gun is going to have to do, I know it does 29 body damage. The MXR, I believe, does 26 body damage, and the Aaron does 30 body damage. This thing shoots slower than the MXR, and I think it shoots slower than the Aaron as well. So it really doesn't make a lot of sense why this exists unless it does something unique.
Does have a larger clip on it. If that picture is the right picture, I mean, it looks like an AR.
Yeah. Well,
I don't even know if that's the real photo.
The base clip size of the MXR is like 9, I think, and then you upgrade it to 12 or 16.
Oh yeah, it says there this could be 18.
Yeah. So I mean, the Mamba, whenever you like at base, it's 32, and when you upgrade it, it's like 42. And yeah, it's a 3-round burst, but like, how many bursts are you getting out of a weapon that has 32 bullets in it? That's a pretty good bit, right? Like 10, 11.
Yeah.
So it's right on par with this weapon here. And this does significantly less damage than that weapon does. I think that it might be another burst weapon. But I think it'll be instead of a 3-round burst, it may be a 2-round burst.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be very interesting, or it would have to be something very unique and something very specific to make it. For
those numbers to make sense.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that this will be coming with a future Rogue, and I have a feeling that we probably won't get another Rogue for a while at this point. But
since they doubled down.
Yeah, since they doubled down, yeah. So I'm very interested to see what actually comes from that weapon. Next here we have Extraction is back in the game, guys.
Yes, it is. I think that was a peace offering.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like the update releases, so all over the place, and people were complaining, like, I'm on here buying all this stuff I can't even play.
Yeah.
And they're like, give them Extraction. So it's only going to be in there for 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's a LTM. So which they ran, I think, Dodgeball for 2 weeks, which is great. I'm glad that they're running it on 2-week schedule. I'm just happy that King of the Hill is still not the limited time mode.
And they said they were doing some bug fixes on Extraction, and the only thing that I see that's different is it says the cube is active.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only thing that was really, and it blows up.
Yep.
It didn't blow up before.
Yeah.
Those two things.
All the plant locations were in the same place that they were before. It still plays the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what bugs were in there to begin
Maybe the
with.
matchmaking. Maybe that's the major bug with it.
So last up, Kramar posted on Twitter an AMA. So what ended up happening was, I believe it was on Friday, the community manager, High Res Mini, I think is what her name is over on Reddit. It's MiniWhiteRabbit. I don't know what her real name is. Anyway, she did a fireside chat / Q&A with Radar. And they answered some questions that the community had. And Kramar got in there and he said he got about half of some of the responses on there. And I'm just going to pull some of these, questions and responses up and kind of run through them here real quick.
While you're doing that, they did it at like, what was it, 3:34?
Yeah, they did it at 3:30 our time. Yeah.
On Discord. And
yeah.
Of course, none of us could be there.
Right. Yeah. And it sucks because I would have loved to have been involved with it. I would have loved to have recorded it.
Yeah.
To actually have proof of everything that was said, because like transparency is a good thing. Doing a Discord AMA with the developers is a very important thing. But it needs to be documented. It needs to be made publicly available. If you're
it's all still there, right?
Well,
I see this fireside. Did they do like video?
They either did video or just audio chat.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think and I think that whenever you joined it, you couldn't speak, but you could type questions into the thing.
You're locked out.
Yeah, but they answered the questions vocally, however they did it. Because I went back through it and I didn't see any responses.
Yeah, I just looked. From them, no.
Yeah. So
they should have saved that and uploaded it.
Exactly. It would have been good information to have. And that would have been the perfect thing to actually, because this past week they didn't do a This Week in Rogue Company. They didn't have a live stream. They should have done it through Twitch. They should have done it through YouTube, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, they could have literally just had the fucking Rogue Company logo as the backdrop and no pictures, no webcams, no nothing. And then one person asking questions, kind of like a debate, and then have them two answer it. It would have been very simple to set up. And I think that it was very impromptu, but at the same time, like, it needs to be documented.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Because I would have loved to seen it. So,
exactly.
I mean,
So we do have a little bit of a transcript here from Kramar, and I'm going to run through like some of the highlights of it here. So one of the things that pops up first is a small reminder. Rogue Company is still in beta. So it's still technically a beta game.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because they, the game gets a lot of flack, right? Since it's categorized, especially now by the developers, that it is still in beta, then that means, we're actively working the game into the full release. Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of a get out of jail free card, more or less. More events like Arms Dealer are in the work, but there's no info yet. Gunplay is important in Rogue and the main focus of the game. They're going to be focusing on a lot of lore in the future. They're going to be improving the patch notes in the future. Thank God. All right, what is Rogue Company doing for player growth? Future platform opportunities, not much inside info by many. So they're looking at releasing it to future platforms that are going to be coming out. Not exactly sure what that means and what, we were talking about it earlier, and Adam said, well, if someone comes out with another platform that's similar to Steam or Epic, then they're going to try to release it on there. They've already got it released on the major platforms right now.
Yeah.
It would be nice if they did a Linux release.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that would be too much.
I played on that.
Yeah, right. Creator program. So right now they're working on the program, they're updating the creator page, and they're looking primarily for YouTube / Twitch streamers. But upcoming, they're going to be adding fan pages, podcasts, and cosplayers. Do you think we got a shot?
The podcast?
Yeah.
No shot. But,
okay.
But they need to change the rules.
Yes.
To be a part of the program. Because, like, when you go look at the list of... what is it? Their little content creators. most of those people don't even meet the,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, the list. But for they need to change that up.
Yeah.
It's a small game. I mean, they're asking too much.
Yeah.
They really are.
I mean,
yeah, we got no shot though. Our tone's not right for that.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, man. I'm just going to say this and I'm going to leave it at that. You need people that are willing to point out the faults of the developers in a very critical way. Because if everyone praised everything that you did, then the game would completely turn to garbage. Also, if you had everyone that completely criticized your game ad nauseum, your game would turn to garbage. You have to have a healthy mix of the two.
Yeah.
But you also need to take input and feedback from both sides of that equation.
That's a big part of it.
Yes. You don't need to take your feedback specifically from a handful of selected people that are not going to give you any resistance whatsoever, because once they see what you're working on, they're going to be so excited. A lot of these people are going to be so excited to actually be part of this elite club to where they know what's coming up. They just can't talk about it, that they're going to tell you everything that you want to hear because they're just happy to be there. You need more realistic people to give you more realistic feedback on the game. Because if
sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, if you come at me or any of us and say, look, we're thinking of adding this character into the game that does this and this and this and this and this, I'm not going to say good. I'm going to ask a shit ton of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're getting an honest opinion.
We want to know. Yeah. We're just trying to be real.
Yeah. Because if you would have came to me with the canon, like, let's say that you gave me the canon update notes and said, how does this character sound? I would have been like, okay, how does the minigun work?
Yeah.
Why does he have a stem? Because he has headstrong and life drain. And what is the percentage of the, ammo refund on his passive ability? And
I'm not knocking the pistol, but really that one, okay.
That one doesn't bother me as much. I like that.
He's
pistol.
one of so there's only 2 people with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But anyway, I was just wanting to say that, some people may listen to the podcast or watch my videos and they may agree wholeheartedly with what is being said, or they may think that we're coming off as more intense than we're actually coming off. And in reality, we want the same thing to happen with the game that the people that praise it up and down, regardless of the bugs and the problems that are in the game. We want it to be in the best state that it could possibly be in. And there's enough people out there that's praising the game ad nauseum. We see it constantly. We also see a lot of people that complain about things that are wrong with the game that get no traction. We're trying to bridge that gap a little bit. That's why the community section of the podcast exists.
Well, a lot of the creators that they have, they still have a list of their little content creators. A lot of them don't even play the game anymore, and they're still on the list.
Yeah. So they need to completely, rework the list.
Oh, yeah.
Get rid of a ton of them, and they need to start bringing other creators, because there are a lot of fantastic creators that are out there right now that deserve to be in that position.
Yeah, because they're dedicated to it.
Dedicated.
Dedicated.
Put a lot of time in.
Pouring emotion and how they feel about it. We're not the only ones.
We don't wake up every morning like, I can't wait to bash Rogue Company today.
No,
absolutely. We love this game just as much, if not more, than the people who praise it constantly.
I can't wait to get onto the podcast and us actually talk positive about it.
Yeah.
I'm not here. We're not here to bash everybody's ideas. We want like Griffin said, we want the best outcome too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some people might take the tone or the way that we say things a little wrong. I think what it is we're just like a bunch of Southern dudes who are kind of filthy mouthed, and it's just how we talk.
Well, down here where we're from, there's a lot of matter-of-fact people.
A lot.
Straight
to the point of them.
Yeah. And
it's refreshing to see it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You come down here, if you come to the South and you ask anybody exactly what they think about something, they're not going to beat around any bush. They're not going to kick rocks about it at all. They're going to tell you exactly what they think. And that's the way that we were all raised, and that's how we all are. And it's not anything that should be taken as a negative. It should just be taken as, we're not sugarcoating this. If I think that your canon update was a complete shit show, that's because it was a complete shit show. You can't deny that it wasn't.
Yeah.
So, there.
We want this to be the best game, not only for us but for everybody else as well.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that's what High Res's mission in this is as well.
Yeah, and I think that we get into some of that stuff here with the AMA. There's not going to be a Halloween event because there wasn't enough time to get everything, done for the Halloween update, which
bummer.
Yes, understandable. I'm glad that they released a bunch of Halloween skins, but it would have been really cool if they had an arms dealer event specifically for Halloween and made it very spooky centric. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I will say that I've enjoyed all the skins so far.
Yeah. I plan on picking a couple of them up. I've got vacation, so
I want that Saint skin.
I want
that
the
Saint skin sick.
And the glitch skin is amazing.
Oh my god!
Y'all want to talk about like people saying that our tone and everything. The amount of work and detail that they put into these Halloween skins is fucking amazing.
They look great.
Some of the best ones they've released so far.
Yeah, I honestly think that like these skins, other than a few outliers, are the best skins that they have done. There's been some Battle Pass skins that have been good, but these are legitimately the best skins that they've done so far. And like,
I mean, you can't beat Doc.
Well, dude.
Well, yeah.
Saint just got 2 good skins finally.
Yeah.
The one that's in the Battle Pass is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's not wearing
I
fucking
like
yellow
that coat a lot too.
Yeah.
And then the one that you can buy now, that's like, and he's been in the game since day one.
Yeah, exactly.
He's finally getting some love.
Yeah. So rate the priority for the bugs. And this is the priority that they kind of work off of. How badly does it break the game? And how aware is the community of the bug? And I think that this is a good thing and a bad thing as well. Because it's a good thing that they're taking community awareness and of course the game breaking nature of the bug. But the downside of this is, what if it's a bug that's only happening to a small subset of individuals that is causing the game to be breaking for them specifically, and for whatever reason imaginable, they have no way of reaching out to make anyone aware of the bug?
Well, on the patch notes from the Rogue Company website, there at the bottom there was a hot fix, some kind of patch for a banner description.
Yeah.
What? You know?
Like, what does that matter, really?
Was that priority to fix the description of the banner?
It was easy to fix.
Yeah.
Someone went in there and retyped it and submitted it.
Hopefully, probably not the same person doing the notes, because...
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But yeah.
So hotfixes have a big risk for the stability of the game. Complex issues equal top issues equals holding back. Holding bugs back until the next big update. So what they're saying is every time that they incorporate a hotfix into the game, they're at risk for, unstabilizing,
breaking the game,
instability of the game. Yeah. Which makes sense, but a hotfix is supposed to be to address bugs and fix bugs in the game. So it makes sense now why they don't have a hotfix every week. It would be nice if they could get to a point to where they have a hotfix every week. But I understand, like, Call of Duty gets 2 updates a week. Rogue Company gets 1 update every 2 to 4 weeks. I understand that they're drastically different companies with the amount of people that work there and everything. But it would be nice if they could stabilize everything enough to where they could actually do a hot fix a week to try to correct some of these issues.
Well, that's good information. Too bad it was only released here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Console and keyboard, so no visibility, other team. So that means that they don't know anything about that, because I know there's a lot of people that want to be able to use mouse and keyboard on console, but it's still not something that's in the game. Plans for more ranked modes, most likely no limited time modes, no more info. So they are still tossing around the idea of increasing the ranked mode, but they just like to other game types, but they don't have anything, they don't have any details on it. Matchmaking, no info. All right, right here. cooperation characters. And I think that what this means is like licensing characters, right? And this was the quote: require fairly complicated licensing deals, and given those are in the same genre, probably unlikely. So what they're saying is like, look
Marvel
at
scans.
Yeah, look at Fortnite.
Yeah.
They've got the license for Marvel, DC, everything.
Star Wars,
Yeah. So how is a small company like this going to compete with Epic Games? I completely get that. But there are also smaller companies that you could try to license some of this stuff from. Like,
or you just do a ripoff too.
Exactly. You change it a little bit. Yeah.
It's a laser sword. Not a lightsaber.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Right here. Epic and Steam will have PTS going forward. Console PTS. A question for smarter people than me. That was from Mini. So,
I need to know.
Yeah. Well, and that means that, that she doesn't have the answer. But to me, it seems like that would be a very
good question.
That's a question that needs to be answered. Definitely.
It does.
Because the next question after that is catch bugs on PTS. The reason that they're not catching the bugs on PTS, not nearly same amount of players on PTS as there are in the live game.
Wonder why.
Because the majority of the player base is on console. Yeah.
And they run it for such a short amount of time too.
2 days.
Yeah.
I've never heard of any PTS being run that short.
Yeah. So high-res creator code system. And this was the quote. Yes, there's a lot of extra work around that. Coding, UI, legal, tax forms, etc. Sounds like a no or not in the near future for me. That's what Kramar said about it. So high-res creator code system is something that exists in like Paladins, I think, and Smite. I'm not 100% sure, so don't, quote me on that. But, I mean, it does make sense that they wouldn't want to pursue this because of the legal. Like, you're going to be under contract. Like Tim and his creator code for Call of Duty, he's under contract. He can't breach the contract.
# top partner.
Yeah. Of course, there's tax forms involved. You got to make money. They got to make money. The IRS has to be paid. So that's a whole different division of this company that they probably
that sounds
don't.
like a no.
Yeah. Exactly. 6v6 coming to Switch. And this is what was said. We're still evaluating the performance 6v6 would have on the Switch. As all of you wonderful Switch players know, you typically run into very console-specific issues that create an unfortunate experience. We don't want to introduce this until we know it's going to be a solid experience. Now, this is one of those things like this, in my opinion, is something that should have been tweeted out to be like, hey, we're still evaluating the Switch. We're not sure if the Switch can handle it. We want you guys to have the most solid experience that you can possibly have while playing the game. And we think it's in the best interest of the players and the company that we wait to release this until we get all of the evaluations for the Switch out of the way. How hard is it to tweet that out?
Takes a few seconds.
I just wrote it for you.
Yeah.
And the Switch player base is always like, well, there's only one LTM in the game right now, and it's a 6v6 mode. And then other than Strikeout and Demolition, the only other game mode to play is a 6v6 game mode. It's like, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if this would have been released, then I think that people would have still been upset. You're not going to get rid of that. The people that have sense would have been like, okay, this makes sense. We don't want to stress it and cause it a very unpleasant experience. Let's wait until they figure something out. Either they can do it or they can't, but at least they're trying, right?
Yeah.
6v6 player lobbies. This is something on the team's to-do list. We want to introduce it. So 6-player lobbies, I'm guessing, is gonna. There's 2 ways to kind of take that. It's either a 6-player queue or it's a 6-player private match.
I was thinking the custom matches.
Yeah. If they could do both, that would be amazing. I understand why they would focus more on the custom matches first, because it would probably be way less work in the long run. You're just adding a couple of extra slots to invite people into. Yeah. But, it is what it is. Melee only rogue. See, we've talked about a melee only rogue, and this was the response to that. There are a number of challenges around this. While melee is part of our game, as Pretty Hair has said in This Week in Rogue Company, it's not the core of our game. It would be hard to balance a single melee character around a bunch of ranged characters. And Radar is absolutely right when he says this. 100% correct. But you can still give that character a ranged weapon. You can still give that character a melee weapon and have a melee focused.
Stars.
Exactly.
Something,
You can play around with that idea and create something that is more than fun to play. You just got to think outside the box just a hair. Fix your tier issue. The tier is off, generating a lot of console player crashes. Rare instance with colorblind mode and spectator out of memory crash. So that's a lot of information. So the tier is off, generating a lot of console player crashes. Rare instance with colorblind mode and spectator out of memory crash. So basically what they're saying is like, if you're spectating someone that's using the tier,
that's causing the crash?
Either that or...
I don't understand. Yeah.
Or the colorblind mode. One of the two, or maybe it's both. Because some people play with colorblind mode enabled, even though they're not colorblind.
Not colorblind. I use the one. You get 3 options.
Yeah.
I use the third one.
Mm-hmm.
The game just looks better.
Right.
I like it.
So I could see where that would be a problem. And you can't disable the colorblind mode. No. You can't disable the spectator.
But you can disable the tier.
Exactly. And out of memory crash, we had out of memory crashes constantly on Paladins when we played it on console.
Yeah.
This is how bad it was for anybody that's interested. After every 2 matches that me and Marina would play, we would have to reset our consoles. And that was
on the Switch, right?
Yeah, on the Switch.
Yeah.
That was the only way to keep the game from crashing in the 3rd or 4th match.
You run out of RAM.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that these new consoles like the PS5 and the Xbox Series S and X are having memory issues with...
I don't know if it's those. Well, it's got to be the PS4 or something.
Well, I don't know, dude, because here's my experience playing Rogue Company. The first 5 or 6 matches that we play run great. And then there's a point... There's a point that the game reaches in the night of playing to where my frames just start dropping and they continue to drop. Exactly.
Yeah, you're using up that RAM. It's just not freeing it up.
Yeah. And
I do need to fix that.
Yes, because I've got 32 gigs of RAM.
Yeah.
Why is it
that shouldn't happen.
Yeah. Why
is it use more than Google Chrome?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. For real. So, and then last up is the tournament game mode. So not in the short term, but it's a very cool idea. So that would be kind of cool if there was a tournament style game mode. And like COD has something like this to where, they could win skins and stuff like that. Yep. And it would be fun if there was, if it was set up, it's like, okay, like on Friday nights or Saturday nights, whatever, we're going to have like a quote unquote tournament for Rogue Bucks or whatever. And then you go on there and you hit the queue thing and you get your team together and then you wait for a match. And then once that match pops up, you play that match out. Whether you win or lose, you either go to the loser's bracket or you stay in the winner's bracket and you sit there until the next match happens. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
It would be fun. And if they had a way to incorporate how the ladders actually work and you could see how well you perform over it, that'd be kind of cool. But that is everything that I saw since the last time that we did the unofficial Rogue Company podcast. Do you guys have anything that you would like to say before we hop over to possibly a very special community section?
No, I'm good, man.
Yeah. I'm good.
All right. Well, if you don't hear back from these guys, I am here with Co Reed.
I'm here with Dirt Lord.
I'm here with Garbo.
And I'm here with Griffin.
And we are fixing to transition over into the community section. You're either going to see and hear these guys again, or you may possibly see and hear someone else. Ooh. So let's head over there and check it out. All right, welcome back, everyone. This is the community section of the BROGUECAST, but we have a very special guest, as you can see on screen right now. bradUK, bradUK, Team BP, Brad. I mean, there's so many levels here. What would you prefer us to call you by, man?
Brad's fine. Brad's fine.
That sounds perfect. One question that I wanted to ask that wasn't on the notes: how are you the happiest guy that plays Rogue Company? I swear, man, with me and the rest of the guys that do broadcasts and everything, the one comment that everybody made all across the board was, how is he so happy? Every time that we watch a stream or we watch a YouTube video, you seem to be the happiest person on the entire planet. How do you do it?
Firstly, thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure, and I'm really looking forward to working with you. But I think that's just me as a person. So day-to-day life, I'm generally my happiness is, or would you say my happiness levels really high?
Right.
And I think that really gets portrayed across in my videos.
Yes.
Some people may think it's a persona, but it's actually just me. So if you knew me in a personal level, or you had a chance to play with me when I'm not sort of streaming or stuff, I'm very much the same. I'm very young, excitable, even though I'm getting on a bit and 29. But yeah.
Hey, don't worry about that, man. I'm 31. A couple of the other guys are older than me. So, you know, I guess we could be the grandpas of Rogue Company if you want to put it that way, right?
You don't look 31, my friend.
Oh, you don't look 29, man. I swear. You look just like my cousin, and he just turned 20. It's crazy, man.
Good, I'll say good skincare products.
Well, you know, it's all the humidity out here. It just keeps your skin all moist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, man. So how long have you been playing Rogue Company?
So it was actually my brother that got me into Rogue Company. I think he saw that one of the top streamers that he was watching on Twitch was playing it. And he was like, oh, bro, you know, come and check this out. And this was November last year.
Right.
And I've only just moved into my flat at the time. And I just bought a new PC. I didn't know nothing about PCs. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to download Rogue Company as one of my first games. And the rest is history, you know.
Right.
I started watching a YouTuber called Clinics9, which is surreal now because he drops into my streams and says hello. So the person that I originally first started watching kind of like not knows who I am, but has an understanding of who I am, maybe. And even some of the other goats of Rogue Company, like Radar, he drops in my stream. And it's all just become a little bit overwhelming. And I would say that's the biggest tie that's sort of keeping me playing the game right now. And but that's how I ended up getting into it. Kind of a combination through word of mouth through my brother.
Right.
From actually playing it and getting hooked. Because the gameplay when I first played it was absolutely amazing. It was nothing. It was kind of like a in-between between Counter-Strike and sort of Call of Duty, or more so Call of Duty now, as you describe in one of your videos. It's like Rogue of Duty.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so that's kind of what's happened.
So, in your experience playing video games from whenever you started playing until now, was third-person shooters ever something that you kind of, I guess, was drawn to like at any point, or was it something new for you going into it?
No, not at all. So when I was very, very young, I actually played Condition Zero on the PC, which was one of my first experience of competitive gaming, if you like. I was in a team called Clan Ninja Turtles, and all these older men, they wanted me to go to a LAN in Somerset, and my mum was like, "You're not going to a LAN in Somerset. No way. You're like 12. What are you doing?" But then Call of Duty 4 come out, and that was really the law into first-person competitive shooters to the customization and everything that Call of Duty 4 offered. And then from then on, I sort of almost stuck to that sort of game. You get sucked into the franchise, and Call of Duty being first-person shooter, that's kind of where my loyalty sat. Then, of course, the groundbreaking Fortnite dropped, and I think everyone that originally played those types of first-person shooter games, I think that law of, or definitely the mindset of just playing first-person shooter games was broadened a bit more when Fortnite was come out, because we all know, whether you like it or not, whether you like the building or not, that game sort of changed a lot of things in the element of it being a free download, it being the first $1 billion game company, or the growth to $1 billion game company in such a quick amount of time. And I think that really set up, or enabled me to come to terms with Rogue Company a lot more.
Right.
And I really like it. When I flick back now to play other games like Apex Legends, it feels a bit weird being in first person. I've almost got so custom and engrossed to being in third person that it's almost weird because you try and look beyond yourself and you're stuck in that first person vision.
Right.
And that's definitely it. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, man. I know that, I came from a Gears of War type background, and that was a third-person shooter. So a lot of that stuff was, it easily transitioned over into Rogue Company. And I tried to apply some of that same logic when I played Fortnite, but it doesn't, since there's a building element to Fortnite, you really can't, bring those skills together and make, there is some similarities, but it ends at the fact that it's a third-person shooter.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
So, and like you said, it's crazy because I never really sit down and actually considered that. It's like the biggest game in the entire universe was a third person shooter. It's kind of mind blowing because everybody thinks competitive shooter is automatically a first person shooter, but I've never even considered that. So yeah, that's a fantastic point, man. So originally what drew you into the game was your brother?
Yep. I was just gonna say, my brother and the combination of watching a few people on the internet.
When did you decide to start creating content for Rogue Company?
Almost straight away. So I would say from Call of Duty 4, I've always wanted to create content. But you know how it is when you're growing up, you have limitations. My parents weren't the wealthiest of people. And obviously to get things like capture cards,
right.
YouTube wasn't as big as what it is now. So information wasn't as accessible as it is now. Like how-to guides on literally how to do every single troubleshoot there is in the world.
Yeah.
So I think that was my biggest limitation. And then going through college and stuff, I think I was scared of the fear of judgment of what people may think of me.
Yeah.
And then I think you get to that point in life where that really doesn't matter anymore. So as I said, when I started Rogue Company content, when I decided to start playing Rogue Company was really the trigger for me to start making Rogue Company content. And as we was just touching on offline, I'd never really, since about 12 or 13, I've never used a PC since, in the sense of editing and all that stuff. So it has been a massive roller coaster to learn how to do everything. But I would say in the last 3 months, my content and everything else has really picked up, and my skills has really, I've come a long way from my first video that I actually made the thumbnail on Paint, I think, to where I'm making them now. So it's been a whirlwind, but yeah, definitely the minute I started to play Rogue Company was the time I started to make Rogue Company content. But what about yourself?
So I started. Oh, before I do that, congratulations on reaching 1,000 subscribers.
That
is a monumental task, man. I'm on my way there now, and I'll get into my backstory in just a second. But it's amazing that what you've been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. So congratulations on that, man.
No, thank you. I'm confident that you'll get there as well, my brother.
Slowly but surely, right? One day at a time, one sub at a time, right?
Exactly.
So I originally started making content for another high-res game called Paladins. And and kind of what I wanted to do was, instead of making the content that I'm currently making, I wanted to do something more along the lines of I wanted to capture a moment in time so that 15 years from now, I can go back and watch those videos of me and my friends just kind of screwing around and having a good time playing video games. And then Rogue Company came out around the time I started getting burnout on Paladins, because there's a lot of similarities between what is happening with Rogue Company and what has happened with Paladins. You see it go through this cycle where bugs aren't getting addressed, things aren't getting addressed, and you see a huge player drop off, and then the team kind of stopped worrying about updating the game regularly and started focusing on fixing the bugs and stuff. But at that point, a lot of people were too far gone. And I think at that point, I was kind of too far gone with it, because I kind of got out of playing video games for a couple of years. Whenever I met my wife, I kind of got out of playing it, and I started focusing more on the relationship and work and trying to get everything in my personal life established. So something has to be pushed aside, and video games just happened to be that thing. But Paladins pulled me back into it, and I've probably played like 2,000 hours in Paladins total. but I started getting burnt out on it. I decided to pivot over to Rogue Company because we went to HRX one year and they had the alpha build of Rogue Company. And I watched people play it. I didn't play it, but I watched people play it. And I was like, I think this is going to be really big. I think this is going to be good. There's nothing right now that really appeals to that Gears of War audience except for Gears of War. And I know that there can be a competitive scene built off of it because there was a huge competitive scene for it back in the early 2000s, or in the late 2000s, I guess you'd say, 2008, 2009. So I was like, this could be big. Well, when the game came out, we all downloaded it and tried it, and I was hooked immediately. And from that point forward, you know, the more content that I started to create for Rogue Company and the more that I saw the trend that the developers and the company was going on, the more I was like, it's a pattern, right? And I'm like, if I don't say anything, I feel like if I don't go out there and address it, then nobody's going to address it. And it's going to be the same thing that happens. So that's how I started creating the current content that I'm making, where I talk about the updates and the bugs and like the balance changes and things like that, and giving my opinions on everything, because I feel like I have a very unique opinion on things and I look at things very differently, but also didn't want them to create the same mistakes that they did originally with Paladins. And that's kind of where I landed where I currently am, to where now we're doing a podcast talking about all the updates, community issues and everything. And it's kind of grown into this more organic feeling content than what it originally was.
Yeah.
So.
And I can sort of sympathize with, not necessarily the Paladin standpoint, but I've seen that this similar pattern happened with Realm Royale.
Yes.
And my understanding is that 2.5 years later, they've now decided they're going to start investing back into that. I really don't hope Rogue Company do this same pattern. Like you say, I don't want it to fall on Death's Doors where 2 million people, so they claim, have downloaded it and played it and dropped it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then a year later, when loads of new games comes out or whatever, and they decide they want to start working on all the bugs, which they should have done months and months ago.
I agree. Let me ask you about the Realm Royale thing, though. Just as an outsider looking into it, you know that a game's been stagnant for so long, and they decide that they're going to start investing money and start investing time back into it. What outcome do you personally see happening with it? I
mean, so it's a battle royale, right? And it shares the sort of similar visuals of Fortnite. I can see that appealing to a lot of people if they were to relaunch it and done the right marketing campaign. But ultimately, it does depend on if anything has changed and the right level investment goes into why people left that game in the first place. Because obviously, it's fine to start employing people to create new content for it. That's fine. You can bring out every bit of content you want under the world. But if the core and the mechanics are not right, and we're seeing that with Rogue Company. You know, we've got the weapon mastery, which is probably the best thing that's ever happened to Rogue Company, in my opinion.
Right.
And you've got the best battle pass that's ever happened in Rogue Company, in my opinion.
Yes.
The cosmetics that are coming out now are the best they've ever been.
Yes.
Yet the core mechanics of the game are broken.
Yes, absolutely. And that's one of those things where it's like, I love all of the Halloween cosmetics that they've come out. I love the battle pass. I love everything else that they've been able to release. It's like, at what point do you pivot into more of a technical standpoint when it comes to developing and designing and fixing a video game? And I guess that they have to, like, I know that, like, and we talked about it. I think me and my buddies talked about it, like, actually off recording and all that stuff. It's like, Hi-Rez doesn't have the manpower like a AAA game studio has, where they have everything broken up into such finite teams, where it's like, you group of 15, 20 people go focus on fixing bugs, and you 15 or 20 people go focus on skins. It's kind of like everything is shared. A lot of the responsibilities seem to be shared. And that's a good thing, because their ear's a lot closer to the ground. But it's also a bad thing because, okay, what do you prioritize? Is it fixing bugs or is it putting content in the game?
Yeah, and I feel like Rogue Company actually have had a really big budget. I mean, to say that they've had Shroud, Mr. Beast, Ninja, as well as, I'm sure, other content creators. I mean, Jack Frags was one of the people that have done a video on it, and it's had over like 2 million views, I think. to have such big content creators, you know, advertise your game, and we're still having this conversation.
Right. Yeah.
It is mind blowing. You would think if the game was really good mechanically and they would then pump all this money in now, like if they fixed all the bugs first and got like outsourced, I don't know, got a team in, said, look, these are all the problems that the community have. This is what we need to resolve. And then whatever money they had left, once they, you know, they had the battle pass, they have the weapon mastery, then they then throw the rest of the money at advertising the game, but the game's complete. Think how much better it would be. New players would be coming in. They wouldn't be able to say, oh, this game's bugged. This game's whatever. Yeah, they might not like the game, but that's going to happen with games anyway. But at least they had the best experience of playing the game when they first downloaded it. I feel like a lot of people have downloaded it, experienced something, and thought, this ain't for me. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's probably what has happened.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, and kind of like something that I've kind of thrown around here and there, it's like some of these bugs are so subtle that until you start investing a lot of time into the game, you actually don't start picking up that it's not a feature. It's an actual bug in the game itself. So you're right. You have some of those bugs that I call them the creepers. They creep right up on you. You don't realize they're a bug until it's happening to you. And then you have those blatant bugs like the disconnect bugs, the deserter penalty bugs. And if I'm someone that's downloading the game for the first time to try it out, because one of my favorite content creators was playing it, I jump into a match and then I immediately get a deserter penalty. Yeah, I'm good. I'm going to move on to something else, you know?
Yeah.
I completely understand that. Yeah. So since Rogue Company is the first game that you've created content for, would you consider creating content for any other games?
I would always say never. I think everything does have a shelf life, unfortunately, whether that's in your job, when that's in your personal life, everything does have a shelf life. I'm dedicated and passionate, really passionate about this game. But there comes a point when you actually have to look at it and think, is this viable anymore? Right now, I still think it's viable, but if I was to create content for other games, probably be another shooter game. I do really enjoy shooters. As I mentioned earlier, I've played Counter-Strike from when I was 12. So that theme has always run throughout. I've always enjoyed shooting games. But yeah, I don't have a particular preference, just whatever falls on my lap next. And if you play it and enjoy it, then creating content is a lot easier playing for something you enjoy rather than something just to get 1,000 or 2,000 views, you know, or whatever it may be.
Absolutely. And I think that that's a common misconception from a lot of people from someone's standpoint outwards looking in. It's like, well, if you create content for this game, you're constantly talking about the negative sides of the game. So why do you play something that you hate? And it's like, no, it's the complete opposite of that. I love it so much that I want it to be the best experience, not only for me, but for Joe Nobody down the street that just downloaded it on his Xbox. And I want him to jump into it and have just as good of a time as I've had in it. And that's where everything kind of stems from. It's a love relationship with the game. It's just, you have to talk about it from every angle.
I think being over positive is almost toxic. Being solely negative is destroying or adding toxicity into the community. So somewhere fine in between. I mean, me, as you mentioned earlier, because I'm always happy, it may seem that I come across as over happy, but I do voice my opinions. I'm not affiliated with Rogue Company. I did a video today that basically says everything that I feel about the game. And I think there's a fine balance, isn't there, to sort of in the middle somewhere.
Absolutely. And I think that it's good to have different content creators approach the different angles of that and have someone that's just solely addressing what's happening with the game and they offer no input, nothing like that. That's just as valuable as someone that is purely opinion based on every single thing that they say, because the way I kind of explained it in one of my YouTube comments one time was, if I say something that triggers someone to actually start thinking about something in a different way, and then they make a post about it on, let's say, the Reddit page, and then let's say one of the developers comes across that. So it's kind of like this, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? You have this person that knows this person that has this idea, and everybody takes an idea and they kind of think about it, rationalize it, and tweak it on their own. Well, if someone sees that idea from the developer side or the community manager or anybody like that sees it and they're like, huh, now their wheels are spinning. Now they're thinking outside the box. Now that could create, it may be something completely opposite of what I said in a video 6 months ago, but it got some wheels turning in somebody's head and they're like, okay, we can kind of take this idea and we can actually lay it out and explore it on a technical level and see what validity it actually has in our game. And I think it's good for people to actually put that out into the world because, I mean, you've seen the developers for this game specifically interact with the community as much, if not more, than some of the other smaller developers that are creating games right now. They see and hear everything that's going on, the good, the bad, the positive, the negative. You can't tell me that something hasn't sparked something somewhere.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I think that that's a very important thing, especially if you love the game as much as we love the game. You have to get that out there and let them explore it, and what makes sense for them, they're going to run with it. Talking about the issues within the game itself, what would you consider would be the main issues with the game?
I think server stabilization is probably one of the biggest, as well as the queue at the moment. Do you know where it says someone went missing?
Yeah.
That seems to skip you out of queue more often than not at the moment. And I was actually streaming on Tuesday, and I was trying to run some custom games, and it happened 3 or 4 times in a custom game.
Wow.
And the problem with that is it affects people, you know, like that affected my content particularly. But can you imagine if that was a tournament being played or a 10K and the actual game is stopping them from playing a final or something else, if you think more outside of the box more than just me.
Yeah.
So I think the stabilization of the servers and like the core running of the game and the engine, if you like, that is the biggest problem with the game. Forget everything else. Like there's little tiny bugs and, you know, I think people tend to make a bit of noise about aim assist being broken after the hot summer update. I think that's another big thing. Yeah. But for me, that's neither here nor there. But the server thing in particular, definitely like number one for me.
Yeah, and I would agree with that 100% because I think that a lot of the actual bugs and problems that they've had in the game, from my perspective, seems to stem from the fact that there are server irregularities that happen. Because, like, if we look at the invisible fire, okay, if someone on your team throws, and I know that that's not a bug right now, but I'm just going to use that as an example. If someone throws a Molotov and it hits the ground and you see it, one of your teammates throws it, and I can't see it, then it wasn't uploaded correctly to me.
Yeah.
It was uploaded correctly to you, but it wasn't uploaded correctly to me. So I agree 100%. I feel like if they would go in and try to get the servers in a very stable condition, because a lot of the other inconsistencies, I feel like they would work themselves out, or it would be easier to recreate those issues for them to actually fix the bugs with it. But,
I agree.
But like you said, if you can't even join into a match, let's say that you've got 2 hours to play after work and you try to jump in a match and it keeps saying that there's no one, you know, someone went missing. What am I going to do? Let's go watch Squid Games. You know what I mean? Let's go watch Netflix.
Which is superb, by the way.
I've got to watch it. Dirt Lord actually messaged me on vacation and he's like, stop what you're doing right now and go watch Squid Games. I'm like, I'm at the aquarium. I just can't leave. My family's here, you know? But I plan on getting on that very, very soon.
No, it definitely is. Probably one of the best watch I've watched in a little while. So, and as for anyone that might be watching, definitely check it out.
Please do. I've heard so many good things about it. He said that he started on episode 1 and then it was the next day and he finished it. I was like, wow.
Exactly the same for me. Exactly the same for me.
In your opinion, what decisions could be made to put the game in a better state? And I think that you hinted at this a little bit earlier, but if you want to elaborate on it.
Yeah, so for me, we've not seen an Arms Dealer Season 3 event.
Right.
That could be an indication on, okay, do you know what? They've made an internal decision. We're not going to pump out an Arms Dealer Season 3. We're going to try and focus some of our time and attention on the bugs. Now, one of the community managers, MiniWhiteRabbit, she's prevalent. She was on the stream the other day answering a lot of questions. She's been very prominent on Twitter and Reddit recently, trying to gather information for the bugs. So I don't know if that suggests that backs up what I'm saying, but it definitely shows, from what I understand, more of a presence on trying to fit the bugs that already pre-exist. So I think that is definitely... I mean, what about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Radthar summed it up best. I saw him make a comment on Twitter a while back where it's like the canon update went the way that the canon update went. We can sit here and talk about, you know, that the servers were online, then they had to take them offline. We could discuss all that. We've already done that in the first half of BROGUECAST, actually. But I think that he said it best. They need to do a huge focus from now until the next season of doing bug fixes, server issues. They need to just, instead of releasing hot fixes one at a time, the game is running, except for the someone went missing bug, because that is a massive thing. But all the smaller bugs that need to be hammered out, just Trello them up like they already have, and just try to squash as many of those as humanly possible, and try to have, because the season 3 update, the season 3 release to me was very fluid. It wasn't the most fluid update that they've ever had, but considering the updates that came before it and since then, it felt like the most fluid update. So I would say focus on all of that and then release season 4. And I would be okay with them skipping over the arms dealer event myself personally, if that meant that they were actually focusing on trying to tackle some of these issues that are in the game.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. For me, I mean, the cosmetics have been a bit more of a replacement for Arms Dealer Season 3, if you like. We've got the Halloween theme. There was no Halloween theme last year. But sooner that they were buyable or you can pay for them, and that money that they generate from this, maybe they can invest it on doing some of those things. And that would sit right with me. If it meant that they had to skip some content to make things better for the future, I don't think anyone can argue about that.
No, I don't think that they can either. And I think that the people that can argue about that, if they would actually take a step back and be like, look, this is for the best state of the game right now. So just kind of put it aside and just continue to play continue playing the game as it is now. And when that next update hits, it'll run 10,000 times better. Then they'll be like, okay, that makes sense. Because I know it's easy to be like, well, no arms dealer event. And everybody's like, wait a minute, like, let me get my pitchfork and my torch. You know what I mean? But like, no, dude, just like calm down a little bit. Just relax. We'll get the bugs squashed. Then we'll get season. And I'm very excited about the season 4 update myself personally. Season 3 battle pass was phenomenal. And I can't wait. I can't even imagine what they've got planned for us. So I'm very excited about that.
Me too.
If you were in charge, all right, Brad, you are the CEO of First Watch Games. All right, Mr. Brad. What would you do? In the current state of the game, what would you do?
I mean, I think I'd have to... Firstly, I think communicate. They need to make use of communication. I feel like there's a missing link between what's actually happening internally.
Yes.
And what's actually sort of being relayed or portrayed to the players, who arguably are the most important part of any game, but Rogue Company we're talking about.
Yeah.
For me, if I was the director, or as you said, I would have to communicate my plans. And I would just be honest. I'd be like, look, we hold our hands up. The game at the moment is probably one of the worst states it's been in. These are the problems that we know that are in the game. As a result, what we're going to do is X, Y, and Z. We're going to get an external team to come on and help take all of your feedback on board. And the next 3 weeks, till the end of the Season 3 Battle Pass, we're going to do X, Y, and Z to just tackle as many as we can. And I think people would really, really be happy with that.
Yeah.
Just a face and someone to go to that's going to almost reassure him to say, all right, do you know what? I'm not going to play Rogue Company for 2 or 3 weeks. I'm going to take some time out. I'm going to let them do their thing. And then I'm going to come back.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I agree 100%. And this is what I'll kind of liken it to. Splitgate, right? Splitgate came out of nowhere and everybody blew up and loved the game, played the game. And when I saw a post from the developers that said, look, guys, we know that a lot of you people cannot queue into the game right now. We were not expecting such an overwhelming amount of people to actually come into the game, and our servers honestly can't handle it. And when I saw that post, I'm like, this post would mean so much if it came from High Res or First Watch Games, because I think more transparency isn't going to hurt anything. I think that it's going to help everything, and it would be nice as well. And this is just kind of a side thing. I'd like to see another roadmap. I love the roadmaps that they've done in the past where they said, this is the plans going forward. This is what we're focusing our attention on. Like once they get the bugs, and just have that be one column in it. If you're going to do a 3 column like they have in the past, one column be bugs in giant letters, and let that be that. And then next column, season 4 with Brad as the new rogue and your apartment or your flat as the new map. Like I would love to play on it. I'm just saying, but you see what I mean though? Like I would love if they would bring that stuff back.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I feel like what people want and what they would actually do, obviously 2 different things, but that example there was Splitgate. Honesty was the best policy. Recently with Amazon New World, they done exactly the same thing. You know, some people experienced 6-hour queue times.
Wow.
Their servers were just not simply, they were overwhelmed with the amount of people that were trying to play it.
Right.
And 2 weeks later, they still got bugs, but the queuing issue is less of a problem. They've spent some time, they've fixed what they can, and it's in a lot better state than it was on launch. Maybe because some players have dropped off because they've got tired of it.
Right.
But at least they can return to it at some point, and there's not the same problem anymore. And I think that's the key takeaway for that particular question. People want to come back and not experience the same thing that they did last time. And I think that's been whatever point or what season you take from Rogue Company, each season has had its own problems. But the one thing that I would say has been consistent more or less from season 0 to now has always been the servers. So that's what they really need to focus on.
Yes, I agree 100%. On a little bit of a lighter note, what is your favorite part of Rogue Company? I'm very interested.
Do you know what? My favorite thing, and it comes across in my videos, I love the cosmetics. I think that's what drew me into Fortnite. As well as the gameplay, but the cosmetics for me, I think you spend so much time in your life being serious. You know, in my job, I'm serious.
Yeah.
In a game, I want to break away and be less serious. And I think the skins, the variations, and the different creativity that you see in them, it brings some happiness to me. I don't know how sad that is, but that's probably one of my favorite things. Seeing the different skins and emotes. Obviously, I enjoy the gameplay, but that's not the key thing I love. But yeah, there you go. My guilty pleasure's been revealed.
I love it though, man. And like you said, their creativity and them kind of embracing the Halloween season. I've been waiting for this turning point because I knew it was going to happen eventually. We had a couple of what I would consider outlier skins to begin with, like the Wasteland Vice skin. It's like, this is completely different. This isn't really like, I guess, focused on like military or spec ops or anything like that. And then the Scorch skin with season 1 battle pass. Wow. I'm like, this is amazing, you know? And then it's just gotten better and better. And I'm glad that they finally fully embraced the Goofy, because I love the Halloween skin so much. And I can't wait to see what they do going forward, because I understand like that AMA that Radar and MiniWhite did about licensing. Someone asked them about licensing characters and creating skins and things like that. And they said, you know, basically it's going to be a lot of legal work. It's going to be a lot of money to dump into it, but that's not stopping them from dropping like a Seeker superhero, you know, just Seeker standing there loud and proud, you know, with his white boy accent. You know what I mean? Like they can take those ideas, tweak them just enough, like the RoboCop Max skin. You know, it's not RoboCop, but it's RoboCop. You know what I mean? And I'm excited to see how they play with that going forward, and see how they work some of that stuff into not only their battle passes, but also more events that they have coming up, because they did say that they have great plans for events coming up. And I'm interested to see, you know, from a story, like a lore aspect, as well as just from a cosmetic aspect, how all that's going to work together. Because I mean, you could basically say that the rogues are all going to a Halloween party. Bam, you got some sweet Rogue Company skins, right? So I love it. I'm excited to see what they do in the future with that, man. What do you personally think Rogue Company excels at?
For me, gunplay. The balance of guns, I know, give or take a couple here or there. Some are really bad, and a couple are exceptionally good. But the combination of gunplay and the abilities of each rogue really, for me, really does excel. I feel like the abilities are not too prominent where it's really gimmicky.
Yes.
And the gunplay is satisfying. I feel like the time to kill is just about right.
Yes.
And I've never really liked games where it takes ages to kill someone, say like an Apex or like a Halo, where you're shooting at them for maybe 1 mag or 2 mags. Here, it's like I say, the time to kill feels right. So I think that's where Rogue Company excels.
I agree with you 100%. And that's, to me, to answer the previous question on my part as well, my favorite part is the gunplay. And I think that that's what it excels at. Now, like you said, there are a few weapons that need a little bit of adjusting. Not major adjusting, but just a little bit of tweaks here and there. And I mean, personally, I thought that the weapon mastery system was going to just completely break the game. But they went in, I think it was either that update or the update before, where they adjusted a lot of the bloom with the weapons. They adjusted, all of the inconsistencies with the weapons. They kind of toned everything down a little bit, and it basically made everything all across the board viable in one way or another. And I love the fact that I could go in with just the default guns that the Rogue have, and as long as my game awareness is good and my positioning is good, I have just as much survivability as picking someone that had, or swapping weapons in between rounds. And I love that aspect of it. That's one of my favorite parts.
And I think they've done a really good job as well. Like, I thought maybe in a pubs game you would see just the meta guns. I thought where the KA-30 was broken, I thought, right, fine, everyone's just going to master the KA-30. The whole lobby's going to be KA-30. But actually, my experience is completely the opposite. Maybe it's because everyone's grinding still, but everyone's using every gun. I still see the M4 being used. I still see other guns being used, which probably aren't the most, consistent guns, if you like.
Right.
But yeah, I think they've done a solid job on that.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what weapons they introduce into the game in the future, and how that's going to impact everything. Because I have a feeling that since they have a baseline now of where they want the TTK to be and how they want the weapons to be balanced, I think that the inclusion of new weapons, they may be a little bit overpowered or underpowered at release, but it's not going to be anything astronomical like, the Conviction was. Like, that thing was a melter when it was first released, and now it's kind of fallen off, in my opinion, over the Maul, because I enjoy the Maul playstyle more, and that's really what it comes down to. I enjoy the playstyle of X weapon over this other weapon, and that's the way that it should have been the whole time. And I'm happy. Let me ask you this real quick. The original TTK changes, whenever they up the damage for everything, how did you feel about that?
So my initial opinion was I didn't like it, on the basis that you've played a game for a long while, and I was playing Ranked Demolition at the time, and it completely changed the way you played, in the sense that you could overextend, and the game was a lot more forgiving time to kill change.
Right.
But had you played it for maybe 2, 4, 5 days and got used to it and not peaked as much and changed your playstyle, then I think it would have been fantastic.
Right.
But yeah, like I say, my initial impression was I didn't like it. But then, they reverted it a bit too quickly, I think. Right. They should have maybe left that in there for a while. And then maybe if they done a vote or something, rather than off a few bad tweets on Twitter, or however they decided to change it, a vote would have probably sufficed more. But there you go. I think that rubbed up a lot of people in the community in the first instance.
Do you prefer the damage values being changed or the accuracy of the weapons when it comes to time to kill?
Tough question. For me, damage values would probably make it easier to understand, in the sense that, if you're trying to calculate how quick to kill someone, you can't really do that if you're just saying, right, well, this gun's a bit more stable than it was before. And I think to the everyday casual player, yeah, okay, it might make a small difference. But I think, yeah, I just think the damage things are a bit easier to understand. What about you?
To me, honestly, just from me playing the game and my experiences with it, I honestly preferred the accuracy because,
Okay.
to me, this is just kind of what, my perspective on it. It's like you can increase the damage of the weapons themselves, and you get a lot of lucky shots in Rogue Company. I've got a lot of lucky shots. You've got a lot. Everybody's got lucky shots. And sometimes you get lucky shots that you're not even meaning to have as a lucky shot. It's just a random bullet hits a random person and downs them. To me, whenever you introduce the accuracy of the weapons, then the developers can't factor in the accuracy of the individual. And I think that makes it more skilled. Even though the weapons are easier to handle, even though the recoil is not as bad or the bloom is not as bad, that you still have to factor in your own personal skill into that. Whenever, to me, what it felt like when they did the original TTK changes was, okay, it's going to take one less bullet to down someone. That means that I can peek on this person sooner while they're running at me, or I know not to peek quite as long. The bloom's going to be there. The inaccuracy, the inconsistency of the weapon is still going to be there. So even if you're, at medium range shooting someone and bullets are missing, it's going to feel worse, even though it's doing more damage than if it's almost pinpoint accurate and you're nailing every shot. So that's just my perspective on it.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I have a weird brain. Okay, this is kind of a weird question, and the reason that I threw this question in there is to just kind of get your opinion, since you do stream and you do create content for the game. Do you feel like the majority of the creators that have left Rogue Company left the game because they were suffering from Rogue Company fatigue?
So I would say, I literally done this in a video earlier. So you had 3 of the top ones, and please correct me if I'm wrong: Die Hard, Also of Course, and Chloe. They were the 3 top ones from my understanding. And now you've got Tragedy and Radfar, and there's probably some other ones that I don't know about. The 3 that have left, I feel like Die Hard, he probably was fatigued. I feel like he got to a ceiling where he thought, you know what, I'm getting so many views, but I'm capped now. There's not there's not a big enough audience for where his aspirations maybe, and since then he's gone on and he's doubled his subscribers. He's got his first million view video, and I feel like he's achieved that by getting outside of Rogue Company. So for him, I don't think it was Rogue Company fatigue. I think his aspirations outgrew the game and the audience.
Right.
For some of the other people, Chloe, he was very competitive. I think the 10K for him probably wasn't big enough, maybe. I don't know. But he's gone on to Splitgate, he's won a tournament, and he's trying his hand in other games as well. So I think that's maybe Chloe's reason. Also, of course, he actually done a video to say that he was kind of burnt out, and actually the game wasn't really that fun for him anymore. And all of them maybe have that element in it, but I think they all had their own individual reasons. Now, Radfar, the next biggest, he's been on a month break or just over a month break, so he was probably burnt out. Then like I say, the next one is Tragedy, but he's been pumping out content for as long as I can remember, and people absolutely love his skill and gameplay. But there'll become a point in time when I'm sure he'll get tired of playing the same game. And if I'm being completely honest with you, I feel that from time to time playing Rogue Company as well. There's only so much you can do something over and over and over and over again. So without getting tired, Right. So sorry to answer in a bit long-winded way, but I feel like each one has had their own individual reasons. But I feel like each individual probably has their own reasons, as well as suffering a bit of rogue fatigue. Right.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that as well, because I make content exclusively for YouTube. And the reason that I create content exclusively for YouTube is because my job and my personal life doesn't really allow me the opportunity to stream the game. So I usually get online, and I'm Central Time, usually start playing around 8 o'clock, and I end playing around 10:30, something like that. And I play 3 to 4 times a week. Sometimes 5. If there's a big update, like when Canon came out, I got on there and grounded as much as I could so that I could actually talk about Canon in the broadcast, things like that. But I also split some of my gameplay between Rogue Company and a couple other games, like Back 4 Blood just came out. I'm a huge Left 4 Dead fan. We're going to start playing that probably this weekend. I may create some content for that. It just depends on how everything goes, but I am going to record it just in case. And so I don't experience the fatigue. I don't experience the frustrations that a lot of people do, because having to sit down, at your station, at your command center, and have a camera on you and know that people are currently live and watching you, and having to not really censor yourself, but more or less be aware that there are people there. You have to focus on the game. You have to focus on the questions. You have to be entertaining at the same time. I could see where that would be very overwhelming very quickly.
Yeah, do you know what? I would actually say, so I started streaming. I did originally start streaming, and then I stopped. And I felt guilty taking subscriptions off people, which is why I stopped.
Right.
I've got a main job. It's not my source of income. It's just a hobby.
Right.
And so I stopped. And I was also camera shy when I first started as well. I'm actually a really shy person. I know I don't come across shy, and people will probably say, you're not shy, but I think it's hidden quite well. But then now I've started streaming again. To play, talk, and keep people entertained is a skill in itself. It's very, very challenging. And I only stream 2-3 hours at a time, so very short periods. There are people that stream 6-7 hours. I don't know how they do it, but hats off to them.
Yeah, legitimately, man. And it's something I've considered in the future, maybe on a Saturday, every other Saturday, whatever, maybe hopping on, and anybody that is subscribed that wants to play, or just anybody that wants to hop on to play. And that would be an easy way to communicate all the information while I'm live. That way we could set everything up. But I just don't see how people do it. How does Jack stream for 600 hours straight? How does he do it?
I don't know.
he is not a man. He is a god or something. I don't know. I don't understand it.
Yeah, no, he's a guy. I don't know how he does it either.
I don't get it. And I'll pop on and I'm like, "What's up, man?" And he's like, he just the same tone. "What's up?" It's like New World. I'm like, "Cool, man. How's everything going?" And then the light goes on and he's like, "Hey, man, it's going great." And I'm like, "Whoa." You know what I mean? It took him a second. I'm like, "Dude, you've been awake way too long." He's like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good. We've got to capture this territory." And I'm like, "I'm supporting you. I'm not in the game, but I've got you back, man. I'm right there with you."
That's funny, man.
Where do you see yourself in 1 year? Or where would you like to be in 1 year?
So I originally set myself a goal. And the internet is an amazing thing. So in the first year, I thought so my first few videos I uploaded, right?
Yeah.
I was getting 30 views and no subscribers whatsoever. So I thought, right, I'm going to try calculate where I'd be at the end of 1 year. Now, I thought at the end of 1 year, I'd have 100 subscribers and around about 10,000 views.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. As long as I uploaded every day, they were the numbers I thought I might hit. Now, 9 months later, and arguably I would say first 3-4 months probably didn't count because I was just trying to learn everything.
Right.
I've got 1,200 subs, nearly 1,003, and over 125,000 views. So I'm completely mind blown and taken back by that level of viewership and support that people have shown me. So where I see myself in a year, I wouldn't like to say because I really don't know, but I've absolutely blown my expectations. It's such a great thing. I'm just so glad that I started, and I'm thankful for everyone and yourself that give me this opportunity every day to enjoy and experience something that I've always wanted to experience and be a part of,
Right. And I love the content that you're making, man. I try to watch every single video that I possibly can. My wife enjoys watching your videos because she has a thing for accents. I don't know what's going on there. She really likes Jack's accent. And I'm like, I'm not getting him on Discord. I don't know. That's not going to happen. But I love the content that you've been creating, and hats off to you, man, for what you've been able to accomplish in relatively such a short amount of time. I mean, it's flown by, right?
Yeah, honestly, it really has. I never ever thought that, to be consistent as well. Like yourself, like to do it almost every single day. There becomes a point where you think, you might have that mental block where it's like, I'm not really feeling it today, or maybe I'll just do it next week. I'm so surprised that hasn't happened. And I think that's where I've been thoroughly enjoying doing it.
Yeah.
They always say, don't they? If you do something you enjoy, it doesn't feel like a job. And not that this is my job, but it could be a job one day. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I don't consider it that because I just literally get such a kick out of making content. And but where do you see yourself in a year's time?
To be honest, I'm really not sure. The channel has been growing, people are coming in, a lot of conversations are happening in the comment section, and really I just want to continue to be able to put out quality content. And that's at the end of the day, that's all I wanted to do. Like I said earlier, I started creating content as like a time capsule, and it's kind of evolved into what it currently is. And as long as there is something that I'm passionate about that, like you said, doesn't feel like a job, it doesn't feel like work, and as long as I enjoy doing it and the people that watch me enjoy it, I'm fine with it. It can go as big or as small as it wants to go.
No,
I have a full-time job. This isn't my job, much like yours. And I just do it as a passion project, basically, at the end of the day. So I'm not expecting to get rich quick, or I'm not expecting to get this huge following or anything like that. I'm just expecting to put some very weird thoughts and opinions out into the world and just see what comes of it.
Yeah, no, very much the same. It seems like we're in the same boat there.
Oh yeah. And with your trajectory right now, this time next year, I'm going to have to beg you for an interview.
Yeah, no.
Please.
Do you know what? One thing that I'll always have is time for people. I think that's one of the most important things. And the people say that, as you climb the ladder and stuff, you become a bit arrogant or whatever. I think my personality and my upbringing is very much to the sense that I'll always remember the people that gave me a chance, and if I can bring them and drag them along with me, believe me, I will.
Well, that sounds fantastic. I love that response, man. Thank you. Rogue Company, though, where do you see it in 1 year, or where would you like to see it at in 1 year?
So we're probably, if we're looking at every 3 months being a season, hopefully we're in season 8 if they continue to support it into season 8. So hopefully we're in the 8th battle pass. I would like to think maybe 8 new rogues have dropped, but who knows? I see Clinics's video the other day where they're actually talking of making a PvE type game mode, but using the Rogue universe.
Yeah.
So that may be some form of co-op game. So maybe that's already dropped and it sits aside Rogue Company. Maybe it drops within Rogue Company. Who knows? But I'd definitely like to see what we've seen in year 1 build on year 2. So better battle passes, more content, more cosmetics, continue updating. But hopefully on the ground up that all the bugs that we've just spoken about over the last however long, that is sorted first.
Yes. And that honestly is makes me very excited for what's going to be coming up in the next year, man. And I would like the PvE thing that Clinics has been talking about. I love watching his videos and his side of the story on everything, kind of where he sees it. And I think that would be a great way to incorporate not only lore, but also if it doesn't release within Rogue Company itself, then you can have that cross branding where you get cosmetics and you get these things. Characters can be introduced into this game that can be brought over into this game and vice versa. It would really open them up to a world of possibilities at that point. And I would love to see that. And I want my first Jackal character. I want to play the bad guy one time, because Mac's not really a bad guy. It's kind of like, is Darth Vader really a bad guy? It's like, that's a whole nother discussion. You know what I mean? That gray area there. But I would love to see the first Jackal operative actually dropped into the game, because sometimes we just want to be bad, Can't be bad at work, can't be bad at home. Let me get online and be bad in a video game,
Yeah. And I definitely think they've got some good rogues. If they were to cross over some of these rogues into what we call the rogue PvE, there's definitely some abilities that would be really, really useful if you was going into co-op. Like, you've got Cannon's Gatling gun. If you had a wave of enemies, that would be useful. if you're going through a long level and ammo was an issue, then runway would be a good choice.
Yes.
So there's definitely like rogues and their abilities that would come into play, or I would think so anyway, in different scenarios that could play out in a PvE mode. So.
Oh, that would be fantastic. I like where your brain's at with that. That's awesome. All right. Who is your absolute favorite rogue of all time that's been released so far?
So it was Dahlia. I think I've got about 8 days played with Dahlia. When I used to play a lot of ranked. So I think I've got about 30 days overall. And so 33% of my time has been spent with Dahlia. More recently, because I'm grinding a lot of weapon mastery, one of my favorite and fun rogues to play is actually Switchblade.
Yeah, she is a powerhouse, man. Yeah,
so she's super fun to get clips. But my favorite looking rogue, and the rogue that I think has the best skins and everything else, is actually Ronin.
Yes, I agree 100%. If I had to pick the best looking rogue, it's got to be Dallas. I mean, that hair. It is beautiful. I can't get over it. Every time I see Dallas, that's not someone that's not using the dock skin, I'm just like, if I had a time machine, I could look like that. I don't know what happened, you know?
And his cowboy voice lines are really good as well. I really do like them.
Yeah, I love his concept as a character, like just the personality, the ability, and just the look of him, because it's like, well, how do you bring like a gunslinger to the game? They figured out how to do it. It's perfect, you know.
Yeah,
especially
he's a great character.
Especially from where I'm from, you know. I'm from the South, so everybody wants to be a gunslinger for some reason. Like they're going to show up, you know what I mean? When the clock strikes 12, there's not going to be anybody standing in the middle of the street. Let's be honest here, you know.
The purge.
Yeah, exactly, right. So, with that, where can everyone find you?
Okay, so I do a bit of everything. So on YouTube, you can search bradUK. I do Rogue Company content, not as good as Griffin, but I do give it a go. And on Twitch, you can find me, bradUK1, and I stream Monday to Wednesday there, 8 British summertime till late. So be sure to drop in and say hi. But really, I'm a guest of Griffin, and keep supporting Griffin, because we need to get into that 1,000 mark.
Well, anybody that's not subscribed to Brad, just head on over there and hit that button right now. Do yourself a favor. I mean, look, he is the happiest Rogue Company content creator. I could never watch one of your videos and be like, my day sucks now. I'm always like, let's go play some Rogue Company right now. We just watched a Brad video, you know? But
thank you. I appreciate you, bro.
No, man, I appreciate you coming on and giving us a little bit of insight into how you got started, where you currently are, where you want to be, and your thoughts and opinions on what Rogue Company is and what I think the whole community wants it to be. So thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes of your day to sit down and have this interview with us, man.
No, the pleasure's mine. I wish you all the best and your family, and I hope you enjoyed your vacation, and I'll see what I can do in the future, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Absolutely, man. I will definitely set something up in the future. We'll get together. We'll make some explosions happen and some jokes had, and we'll have a good time, man.
All right, thanks for having me. Take it easy, brother.
You too, man. Thank you. First and foremost, I want to thank Brad for joining us in this first ever Rogue Company Community Creator Spotlight. I plan on doing more of these in the future, but I wanted the very first one to be with Brad. He is a fantastic content creator for Rogue Company. So if you haven't, please be sure to go over and check him out. I'll leave links in the description down below to his Twitch page, YouTube page, Twitter. Reach out to him, let him know that you saw him on the interview, and if you have any other questions, I'm sure that he would be more than happy to answer anything that you guys have for him. Also, I want to thank the other guys for coming on. Of course, the first half of the broadcast, they're currently not with me, but let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of the canon update and what you think of canon as a character itself. Also, if you want to contribute to the broadcast in any way whatsoever, please be sure to hit us up on Twitter at BROGUECAST. You can shoot us an email, brogcast@gmail.com, or you can check the description down below for a link to the Discord page. In the Discord page, there is a link to the broadcast contributions. If you have anything that you want to contribute to the podcast going forward, please be sure to check that out and send us some feedback that way. And thank you guys so much for all of the support and all of the encouragement from all of the broadcast episodes. And please help us continue to go forward and to make this the best Rogue Company podcast that it can be. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening. And we will catch you on the next episode of the unofficial Rogue Company podcast, the BROGUECAST. Thank you, guys.